Hi duckies, quick apology. I wanted to do a vlog a little bit sooner than this, but I've been a bit busy and I've not been able to. The other thing was, as you know, in my last vlog I said I was going to talk about my HRT. I was hoping to have my pack of the needle, the syringe, the injection I have for the testosterone blocker, but I had the injection last Thursday, and for health and safety reasons, my nurse threw most of the syringes and the vials and everything away, and I've just left with this small tube of the cement paste that the injection comes in, and that's empty. So I didn't have anything to show you because the nurse threw it all away on grounds of health and safety, so I apologise. I am due my next injection sometime in early July. I want to do a vlog on my HRT, but I want to do it in conjunction with the injection I get. So if it's all right with you, I'm going to hold off doing a vlog on HRT, my HRT, until early July, once I get the vial and the syringe, everything from the doctor, from the chemists. So then I can show you what it looks like and how the pack comes, and I can go into a brief explanation of what it involves. So apologies for that. I'm sorry I can't do the HRT vlog. I will do it in early July, and I will show you all the tablets I take, the finasteride, the estradiol and stuff like that, and I'll go into details. I wanted to take this opportunity on this vlog to talk about the junior doctors strike that's happening in the UK today, the 26th of April 2016, and tomorrow the 27th of April 2016. The strike is unprecedented because it's the first time junior doctors have withdrawn emergency cover and consultants have had to take over. And there's been a large walkout. About 78% of junior doctors didn't report for duties today and went out on strike. Now, there's a lot of confusion about the strike. The government is trying to say the junior doctors are striking because they want more money to work Saturdays. And the government is apparently trying to introduce a 7-day NHS system. I don't know why they're doing that. As far as I'm concerned, the NHS is 7 days. It always has been 7 days. I've been treated at hospitals for a variety of things for 7 days, so I don't understand why the government is pushing this argument that the NHS isn't a 7-day service when the hospitals are open on a Sunday and a Saturday. So it's a 7-day service. My own personal opinion about this comes from what happened back in the early 90s. Junior doctors used to get flogged to death in NHS hospitals because of the amount of hours that they had to do, that they had to work their shift. They did amazing hours. They were at it all day in some cases, only having like a couple of hours sleep until they had to be back on ward. The pressure on junior doctors and NHS staff with the hours that they had to do in the past were rectified when the European Union introduced the Working Times Directive to cut down on the amount of hours that people had to work during the week. Now, this helped junior doctors, I believe, from my own understanding. It helped junior doctors to regulate their hours and control their hours more, and they weren't being flogged to death so much by doing mad nights and early mornings and not going home till 5 o'clock in the morning and then having a couple of hours sleep, as I've said, and having to go back to work again. Now, it seems to me that the Tories hated the Working Times Directive because the Tories love flogging people to death in the workspace. They love you to do more hours. Britain is synonymous with working more hours than anywhere else in Europe. We're supposed to work something like 45 hours a week more, 45 hours average, 45 hours a week in the UK, whereas in places like Holland they only work 35, 37 hours a week. But the government didn't like the fact that the Tory government didn't like the fact that the Working Times Directive was introduced to cut down on the amount of hours people were being made to work, but maintaining their pay. Now, it seems to me that the Tories, since they've been in office, have been trying to go back to a system where the junior doctors have to work such unsociable hours, such rigorous hours of work to do their shifts with so little break, that they're pushing these new contracts to introduce these new working times for the NHS junior doctors against what the Working Time Directive states. Now, I might be wrong, But that's what it appears like. It appears to me that the Tories are trying to introduce these new working hours to get around, to circumvent the working times directive, so that junior doctors go back to working incredibly stressful hours, incredibly strenuous hours. There's also been a lot of complaints by junior doctors that they've read the 80-page document on their new contracts, which the government are pushing through, and most of them feel that they can't work to the contracts. They reduce the doctors to working unsafe hours, and what the main argument that the junior doctors is putting forward is that it's unsafe. The working times are unsafe, and it will put patients at risk and cause fatigue in junior doctors and make them make mistakes. Now, I'm on the side of the junior doctors. The junior doctors tend to know what they're talking about. They've read this 80-page document. They feel that it's unsafe. They feel that their working times are being pushed back, increased again. I don't feel that the government are listening to them. It seems to me that a lot of Tory MPs feel that this is the new miners' strike, and that the NHS, the government has to break the strike, has to combat the strikers and defeat them. This is a nonsense. When the miners were defeated in the mid-80s, it destroyed whole communities. It destroyed the pit industry completely and robbed people of their jobs, destroyed communities, everything, and destroyed the industry itself. I fear that if the Tories are thinking that this is a battle against the junior doctors on some sort of, I don't know, philosophical sort of political ideal, because a lot of Tories are saying that the BMA that is launching these strikes are trying to bring down the government. They're not. The NHS junior doctors are not trying to bring down the government. They just want a fair deal with their new contracts. But the Conservative Party, the Tory government, is getting it into its head that this is a battle to fight. They've got to defeat the doctors and impose these contracts on them, which is what Jeremy Hunt, the Secretary of State for the NHS for Health, is trying to do. He's trying to impose the contracts on junior doctors. I support the junior doctors. I say they should stick at their strike. The consultants are backing the junior doctors up when they go out on strike. I don't believe the NHS is unsafe as it is at the moment with the doctors going on strike. They're not going on strike every day. This is a 2-day strike. After the 27th of April 2016, they will be back to work again as normal. Consultants are taking the place of junior doctors. Not all junior doctors are going on strike, mind. Remember, I said that 78% of junior doctors did not report for work today. So that still leaves about 20-30% of junior doctors going into work to treat patients. Whether they're doing that to maintain the service or whether they're doing that because they don't support the strike, I'm not sure. I think it's more a question of maintaining the service. A lot of doctors came out on strike today and were in tears and nearly crying because they wanted to stay and look after their patients, but they feel they have to keep this strike going to show the government that they oppose the imposition of these contracts on junior doctors. My fear is, like the miners' strike, this will reduce the NHS to wastage in the sense that it will lay waste the NHS. Junior doctors will go to Australia, New Zealand or Canada to do their medical profession, because these countries tend to treat them a lot better than the UK government tends to treat the NHS. I think it'll lay waste to the staffing of the NHS. And it may result, if the Conservatives push to fight the junior doctors on this issue and stand on their principle of demanding the imposition of these contracts, that they will destroy the NHS in a way they don't foresee happening at the moment. As we know, there are a lot of backbench Conservative MPs who would like to see the same system of healthcare in this country that countries like on the continent or maybe America has. I fear what the Conservatives do to the NHS. In the early 90s, when they were in charge, we had bed blocking, we had waiting times, people dying on trolleys in hospital beds. The NHS wasn't run very well under the John Major government, under the Conservatives. It was terrible. And we seem to be going down the same path. The Conservatives are in, it's a majority Conservative government, and already we are having pressures on the NHS and problems with staff and imposition of contracts and the admin and money and all the rest of it. I'm inclined to think that you shouldn't trust the Conservatives with the NHS, because in the last two Conservative governments, the one in the early 90s to the mid-90s and the one now, shows that they're not very good at dealing with the NHS. I hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping that Jeremy Hunt has the best interest of the NHS at heart. He's just going about it the wrong way and he's being ill-advised. He wants to stay in his post for the next 4 years to do the job of transforming the NHS. But my fear is, what is he transforming the NHS into? And what will it result in when he's no longer Secretary of State for Health and somebody else takes over? We've got another 4 years of this Conservative government. If they are going to war with the junior doctors and they want to impose these contracts, it's going to be terrible. And we don't need this at the moment. We're already having pressures on the NHS as it is. We don't need any more. So I'm imploring the government, not that they're going to take much note of this vlog, but I'm imploring the government, Jeremy Hunt, to get back round the table with the junior doctors and discuss their concerns. They've read the 80-page document. Many of them have concerns. Many of them are feeling that they should go abroad to work because it'll be better for them, but they don't want to. I just fear what will happen to the NHS if this becomes a battle, a major battle against unions. The Conservatives have it in for the trade union movement. They don't like it, and the trade union movement don't like the Tory government, and they never have done. And they're at loggerheads all the time. But there's no need to turn this into a new miners' strike to defeat the BMA, because the BMA is not out to down the government. It's not out to bring down the government. It just wants the imposition of these contracts lifted and more discussions held. Now, I don't know from my international audience if this makes any sense or you're aware of what's going on in the UK, but it's a big issue. And people in this country love the NHS. We have free healthcare at the point of delivery. It's an amazing service. We've had it since 1947. It's an amazing service. I benefit from it in lots of different ways, especially with my transition. I would hate to see the NHS be destroyed because of this strike, because of what the Tory government feels is a new battle. It's not a battle. Please get round the table. Please rediscuss this. Please listen to what the junior doctors' fears are. Hopefully this will resolve itself and we won't need any more of these damaging strikes. The doctors don't want to go on strike, but they feel they have no choice. If they just cave in, the government can walk over everybody. A lot of people in the media are saying that unions across the country are looking at the BMA and the junior doctors' strike to see how well they do against the government, to see if they can then put forward their own strikes on different issues. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But this, as I say, is not a strike to bring down the Conservative government. It's a strike to stop the imposition of contracts on junior doctors. And in my opinion, this is the Conservatives trying to bring back into the NHS a situation where you have to work incredibly stressful hours because of the Working Times Directive. It was one of the things the Tories were arguing about coming out of Europe, getting rid of the Working Times Directives. It's something they complain about greatly. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's just a paranoia feeling I have, but it seems to me that's what it is. The government wants to go back to the time when junior doctors were flogged to death working hours. If that's the case, it is unsafe. It is unsafe for patients, for doctors to be so worked hard. Now that's my rant. That's how I feel about the strike. I know there are some of my family who disagree with me, but I feel the junior doctors know what they're talking about, and they feel that there is an imposition with these strikes being put on them. Now hopefully there'll be a resolution. I'm hoping there will be. I'm hoping the doctors won't need to go on strike anymore. This is also an alternative blog, so if you were hoping for trans stuff, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but the NHS does have something to do with us trans girls and boys. We need the NHS to get through, and it would be terrible if the NHS was taken away from us, because a lot of us can't afford to go privately for our transition. The NHS is a great saviour because of that. So I'm hoping that the Tories are not going to make this an ideological battle, because in the wake of their ideological battles, communities, industries and people suffer. That's my rant. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.